A Thing About Machines has some interesting visuals and a pretty thrilling climax. While it's not a great episode, the concept of machines coming to life can be a scary one. I mean, look at the world we're living in now. But in 1960, seeing a television talk to you or a typewriter type on its own could be understandably creepy. Even this guy's car comes to life, which is an idea used to its full potential a few seasons later. Quick weird tangent here, but this episode reminded me of a particular TV episode from sometime in the 90s. I want to say it was Unsolved Mysteries, but I couldn't find it listed anywhere. Might have been another similar type show, but it depicted what would happen on December 21st, 2012. For those who need a refresher, that was the date the Mayan calendar ended, which many perceived to be the end of the world. It showed how our supposed downfall was going to be technology. Let's be honest, that sentiment is absolutely correct, but how they visualized it here was so odd. Blenders were coming to life to shred up arms in a bloody display. I think vacuums were consuming humans and more strange stuff like that. The image of the woman's bloody arm trapped in a blender as she screamed to escape has always stuck with me. Whenever I saw the 2012 end of the world thing brought up, that's what my mind always went to. And it loosely ties into the theme of this story, but I really just wanted to see if anyone else remembers this weird-ass episode of whatever it was. But regardless, back to the Twilight Zone. Bartlett Finchley is an ornery, rich snob who constantly breaks his electronic appliances located throughout his large mansion-esque home. After verbally sparring with his regular repairman, we start to see why Finchley has such a deep-seated hatred for machines. They come to life when he's alone and torment him by keeping the well-off food critic awake at night, constantly making noise, or in some cases, telling him to leave his house. Things escalate when, after a night of drinking, they all come to life at once with the goal of getting rid of Finchley, or perhaps driving him mad. This episode was another of Rod's scripts and directed by David Orrick McDiarmid. McDiarmid directed the offbeat time travel episode Execution from Season 1 and would return later in Season 2 with his final episode Back There, another time travel installment that we'll be covering here very soon. A small note I wanted to mention is how much I really liked Serling's on-screen appearance in this one. Popping up on the TV that's a big part of the overall plot was very clever, and it doesn't take away at all from him not being on set in person. It's been said that Rod Serling identified heavily with the blue-collar working man and often painted them in a positive light inside many of his stories. On the other side of that coin, there wasn't much love lost for those who lived more extravagant lifestyles, especially if they acted in a manner similar to Bartlett Finchley. Portrayed by the prolific Richard Haid, he's uppity, rude, insulting, and has an innate sense of superiority when speaking to the few people he interacts with. The difference between the classes is shown right away with the TV repairman, played by Barney Phillips in the second of his 4 appearances, as they go back and forth on how Bartlett's TV set has been intentionally broken more than once.
Last time I was over here, you'd kick your foot through the screen, remember?
The set was not working properly. I tried to get it to do so in a perfectly normal fashion.
Why didn't you just horsewhip it, Mr. Finchley? That'd show it who's boss.
Later, Finchley trades barbs with his typist, Mrs. Rogers. She's shown having enough of his insults and quits. But this is where we see Bartlett show a bit of humanity, admitting he doesn't want to be left alone and asking Rogers to stay. After he confesses his paranormal problem of the machines in his home coming to life, Mrs. Rogers suggests he see a doctor, a suggestion he throws back in her face before kicking her out. That was the only glimpse behind the arrogant facade that Finchley created for himself. From then on, things intensify. His typewriter types up a message for him to get out, a dancing woman on his television talks directly to him with the same thought, and even his unplugged phone follows suit. Finchley's electronic razor also comes to life with a more threatening attitude. Eventually, he's forced out, but Bartlett's car then comes to life and chases him all over the property until he's knocked into his pool and drowns. The episode finishes on a puzzled police officer and coroner speculating how his life ended. This climactic chase scene is more action-packed than most Twilight Zone finales, and it's executed well. One could say it's even quaint how they make the car crash into dozens of stacked boxes conveniently outside of Finchley's home. Who doesn't love that old trope? I'm on the fence about recommending this one, though. While A Thing About Machines isn't a top-notch episode, it still has a few decent scenes, that car chase being the highlight. If you're looking for an all-around solid installment, this isn't it, but it makes for a passable trip into the Twilight Zone.
You machine!